We are fighting the Americans. We are fighting the Americans everywhere they understand. We're fighting the Americans in the pocketbook. We have retaliated.
It's going to be an absolute disaster for both countries. We're your largest trading partner. I don't want to respond, but we will respond like they've never.
In an extraordinary and deeply significant address, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney delivered a forceful, detailed, and completely unequivocal public condemnation of U.S. President Donald Trump's recently enacted and highly controversial new tariffs. Welcome viewers to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe, like my video, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next update. This strong
Like they've never seen before. You need our uranium, you need our potash, you need our high-grade nickel. I will stockpile our high-grade nickel at 50% on the electricity. Stay tuned.
So what does that look like? What are the potential responses?
Well, we'll see. I'll talk to the team and we'll make it a
long statement, which was released across all major media platforms and amplified by international news agencies, immediately and demonstrably signaled the beginning of a profound, far-reaching, and potentially prolonged international trade dispute between two of the world's closest and most historically aligned economic partners. The very fabric of the established North American trade relationship was being stretched to its breaking point. In a meticulously prepared and broadcast video message, which was widely distributed and closely scrutinized by global markets, political analysts, and everyday citizens alike, Prime Minister Carney articulated his profound and unwavering commitment to safeguarding the economic well-being and future prosperity of Canadian workers and, by extension, the entire country's economy. He pointedly and repeatedly highlighted Canada's considerable economic strength, its vital and influential role as a leading powerhouse within the influential group of seven, G7, industrialized nations, and its proven stability and resilience in the face of previous global economic headwinds, such as the 2008 financial crisis. He underscored the profound gravity and critical importance of the current situation, speaking with a voice full of deliberate resolve and determined purpose when he stated, "In a crisis, it's important to come together, and it's essential to act with purpose and with force, and that's what we will do." This resolute and carefully chosen language from the Prime Minister serves to unequivocally underscore the extreme seriousness of the economic challenge that Canada now confronts. It strongly suggests, in no uncertain terms, that the nation will not capitulate or back down in the face of these aggressive and destabilizing economic actions from its southern neighbor. The Prime Minister's office, which was contacted and responded with remarkable swiftness outside of its normal operational hours, confirmed the extreme urgency and critical nature of the matter, thereby illustrating the unparalleled speed, coordination, and decisiveness of the Canadian government's immediate and determined response. The speed of the reaction itself became a part of the message, demonstrating Canada's refusal to be caught off guard or intimidated by the sudden shift in U.S. policy. A radical and historically significant shift in U.S. trade policy and its philosophical underpinnings. The imposition of these new tariffs by the U.S. administration, a move that has sent shockwaves throughout the global financial community, represents a radical and, from a historical perspective, an unprecedented departure from the traditional and long-standing U.S. stance on international trade. For decades, the United States has been a vocal proponent of free and open markets. This policy change is a clear and dramatic break from that long-standing consensus, a break from decades of multilateral cooperation, established global norms, and the very principles of free trade that the United States itself has long championed and promoted to the rest of the world. In a formal public announcement delivered from the iconic and symbolic setting of the White House Rose Garden, President Trump revealed the full and sweeping details of a new, overarching 10% blanket tariff that would be applied to imports from nearly all of the U.S.'s primary trading partners. The new policy, creating an immediate sense of urgency, confusion, and chaos, was set to take effect at the stroke of midnight on the upcoming Friday. This initial, broad tariff would be strategically and subsequently supplemented by additional country-specific reciprocal tariffs. These were specifically designed to target those nations that the administration has publicly stated it believes have engaged in long-standing and unfair trade practices against the United States, thereby adding a layer of targeted retribution to the overall policy. The administration's explicitly stated and highly ambitious objective is to aggressively and systematically combat what it describes as a flawed, deeply imbalanced, and fundamentally unfair global trading system. Its ultimate and long-term goal is to dramatically and permanently shrink the nation's substantial and persistent trade deficit, which stood at a staggering $918.4 billion in the preceding year, 2024. This focus on the trade deficit as a primary measure of economic success is itself a departure from mainstream economic thought. Trump framed the new and highly controversial policy not just as a piece of economic legislation, but as a profoundly patriotic act. He went so far as to brand April 2nd as Liberation Day, asserting with a powerful and nationalist rhetorical flourish that the tariffs were a necessary and long overdue step to restore American economic independence and national sovereignty. The White House's official statement underscored this perspective, declaring with bold and nationalistic language, "Reciprocal trade is America First trade because it increases our competitive edge, protects our sovereignty, and strengthens our national and economic security." This statement served to further emphasize the administration's deeply held belief that these tariffs were not just a simple economic tool, but a cornerstone of a new and reoriented foreign policy philosophy, one that prioritizes national interests above all else, even at the risk of global economic stability and cooperation. The move suggests a fundamental distrust of the very international system the U.S. helped build. Far-reaching global economic consequences and the inevitability of retaliatory actions. The global economic reaction to President Trump's surprising and unilateral announcement has been both immediate, widespread, and overwhelmingly negative across all major financial markets. Financial markets around the world have been particularly volatile, unstable, and unpredictable, with key European stock indices experiencing sharp and immediate declines and major Asian exporters bracing themselves for significant economic headwinds and potential downturns in their respective economies. This controversial and far-reaching policy has been met with widespread, swift, and forceful criticism from international leaders and leading economists who collectively and vociferously warn that it risks completely dismantling the intricate, delicate, and interconnected web of international trade agreements that have been meticulously built and maintained over many decades. A great number of international observers and analysts now fear that this move will trigger a new and dangerous era of protectionism, a policy of shielding a country's domestic industries from foreign competition through the implementation of tariffs, quotas, and other trade barriers. The widespread fear is that such an economic conflict could swiftly escalate into a full-blown, global retaliatory trade war. Such a conflict, they argue, would inevitably harm countless consumers and businesses around the world through a cascading series of negative consequences, including, but not limited to, increased costs for consumer goods, a reduced availability of products, and severely disrupted global supply chains. The economic disruption and uncertainty would be felt at every level, from multinational corporations to individual households, leading to a potential global recession with dire consequences for all. In a direct, decisive, and meticulously planned response to Prime Minister Carney's public promise, the Canadian government has already initiated a series of significant and well-calculated countermeasures. In a move designed to mirror the U.S. action and signal its firm resolve, Canada has swiftly imposed its own surtaxes on a wide and diverse range of U.S. goods, including steel, aluminum, and various consumer products. This strategic action is a clear signal of their resolute and unyielding position in the face of American aggression. Furthermore, the Canadian Department of Finance has proactively implemented a number of support programs and remission orders, which are specifically designed to assist domestic businesses in navigating the increased costs and potential disruptions caused by the U.S. tariffs, providing a safety net to mitigate the immediate fallout. Other key U.S. Allies are actively exploring and coordinating their available options as well, with the European Union seeking to